Hey guys, Danny Johnson here, and today I'm going to be showing you this engine support bar from Pittsburgh. So this is a Harbor Freight Special, has a 1,000 pound capacity, and as you can tell, what you do is you just put it over the strut tower braces on the car, and it allows you to support the engine from the top. The only other alternative for supporting your engine pretty much is to put it onto a jack stand or a transmission jack and put that on the oil pan, which you can understand could cause some damage if something goes wrong. So this is a very good method to support the engine from the top while you work on it from below. So for example, we'll be installing a set of headers, and this will be helpful to support the engine from the top. That's what you would use this tool for, and we'll kind of show you some of its features and let you know what I think about it. Okay, setting up the support bar is very simple. It gives you a diagram here, and it's really just a few things, and they already have a lot of it grouped together. So you just take this apart and put it here. You just take that off and slide it in there, and then you just put the ring down here, thread the rod up through it, and put the top on. So as you can see, I'm already set up over on this side, and it wasn't hard at all. Okay, so we have our engine support bar in place. We have the feet over here in the fender well, and that's on each side. And we have our handle here. We're grabbing our chains, and they're both going through the alternator holes there. So we had other alternator bolts. You could probably use your stock hardware, but I like these because they had longer threads. So this bolt is going all the way in to where the alternator mounts on both sides here. So now we can support the engine this way, and as we lift up on the bottom of the engine on the oil pan, this will support the engine from above. On these chains, you do want to make sure that you have the same amount of links going down on both sides so that it will lift evenly. Okay, so we've put a block of wood on our jack, and we're lifting on the very front of the oil pan. Okay, the wood's going to help distribute the load so you don't dent your oil pan. And so as we're lifting here, you can see the engine start to raise. Okay, so as it raises, we're going to support it and just keep bringing this, tightening this to increase the tension on that. And that way we're going to be able to support the engine and lift it off of the motor mounts. Okay, so I'm going to let the jack do the heavy lifting. So as these start to get loose from lifting with the jack, then I'm going to come up here and spin this to tighten it down. It's probably not a good idea to crank this in order to lift the engine. So let the jack do the heavy lifting, get that pushed up, tighten this back down to put the tension back on the chains, and just keep doing that process till you have enough clearance. Okay, so just used this engine support bar on installing some headers. So I lifted the engine and then supported it with this. I just want to give you a few thoughts on it. Number one, overall the bar did really well, did its job. It had a little bit of a bow in it when it had the pressure on it, but it wasn't bad. The only thing I really don't like, two things. One, this piece right here, as you can see, is pretty flimsy. It goes back and forth a lot. And the hardware included, the instructions say to put that washer there. Maybe you could put another washer on the inside of that to kind of firm that up. It does give it a little bit of bow in each direction, so if you want it to be angled this way on that strut tower kind of brace, pinch weld, or that way. So I don't know, maybe it's designed to be that way, but I did notice that was kind of loose. Number two, obviously with this bar, the intention is to hold the engine and support it, not to lift it and lower it. Okay, so you want to do the lifting and lowering with the actual floor jack or whatever you're using to lift the engine. With that said though, you will be trying to raise and lower it a little bit. I know this isn't designed to lift an engine, but you will end up turning it to try to loosen some pressure or gain some pressure, and it will tear this up pretty good. This is a brand new bar, one-time use. You can see that's already torn up. So you can be careful about it and use the jack more, and then use this strictly for tightening it, and that's how it's designed. So anyway, but I just wanted to point that out. Also, the height of this was sufficient. However, the car I was working on was supercharged and had a supercharger snout going right through here. And so I really couldn't lift the engine too high before the supercharger would hit the bar. So maybe as well on some trucks like that have a bigger intake manifold, you might not be able to lift it very high before it hits the bar. So these could be a little bit taller in my opinion. But they did do the trick. But yeah, overall it was a huge help to have. I definitely would not want to do the job without this. I've installed headers before and did it with basically just the floor jack on the oil pan while I worked on the whole thing, and it was pretty sketchy, especially on this body style Mustang. You do have to drop the K-member and suspension to get the headers on, so you basically just have an engine sitting there floating with nothing for it to come down on if it were to fall. So this is definitely worth the money. It was $80 with tax, somewhere around there, and I've seen them go on sale around Christmas for even cheaper. But anyway, that's my review on it. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions about something I didn't cover on this, then just let me know. Thanks for watching.